Uh, Welcome to STP 101. My name is Jaz Johnson. I'm with Cascade Bicycle Club. I'm on the events and communications team. And today I'm here with Will Chin, who is a former STP director from the 90s. And for quite some time, Will Chin has been putting on informational sessions to get riders ready to ride the STP. And we're back with a virtual session this year. We're going to talk about some things you're going to want to know for the ride. It'll take us maybe 20-25 minutes. This will not be your only source of information for STP. We also have a wonderful website. You can go to cascade.org/STP. And if you are subscribed to our newsletter, you will also be getting a series of emails before the ride so that you hear everything multiple times in multiple formats, and you always have some source to go back that you can double check against. But Will's here to share his expertise about the ride and let you learn more about it in this format. So I'm going to hand it over to Will.
Yeah, hi. Hi, Seattle to Portland cyclists. So we're here to get STP riders and potential riders the latest information as you prepare for the Kaiser Permanente STP Bicycle Classic 2023. Hopefully this will also help inspire others who are checking in, and maybe they'll go ahead and register after this. So we'll be referring, as Josh mentioned, primarily to the Seattle Portland web pages on the host organization's cascade.org site. I'll tell you what's there and you can check for more details afterwards. Just to keep this one a little more brief. We already have a great posted 1-hour orientation video produced last year. If you're looking for a broad overall picture of what the event is about, plus some tips and advice, go there. We'll link it down below. For this more brief video, though, we want to bring you just general updates and reminders, and we'll condense what we can and provide you some timestamps below so that you can get to the info that you want. So hopefully you see on your screen there the screen clip of the video, the orientation video that I had mentioned from last year. And for this discussion today, we're going to kind of do some quick updates, packet mailing, lodging, discussion about buses, safety etiquette, training with groups, learning to eat and drink, and understanding your pace and understanding your bike and gear. We figured those are things that logistically, whether you've ridden before or this is the first time, that you'll be good to hear those things again. Quick updates that we know of at this time. We'll be returning to the tried and true State Route 507 highway from Spanaway to Roy. We can't use the JBLM military base roads this year, so we're back to the old route, and this road has a shoulder, but it has rumble strips cut in, so into the fog line, which makes passing riders a little more of a challenge. So just use caution and be aware. Also, there's no Castle Rock baggage truck this year because there's no housing at Castle Rock High School this year. The mini stop, however, will be there, just no overnighting. Also, since there's no longer shower trucks at the finish line, we'll have the same setup as we did last year for those of you who are returning. It's a water rinsing station and changing tents. So there will also be construction on the Lewis and Clark Bridge in the afternoon after STP. About 2 o'clock is the target time. So the Department of Transportation is collaborating with STP on the timing. So this basically means don't dally getting across into Oregon from Longview. Typically 2 o'clock is about the time where most people have gotten into queue as we caravan you across the Lewis and Clark Bridge. But we'll let everyone know at the food stop there that they need to get moving to get across. All right. So remember, register by June 28th, and your rider packet will be mailed to you and should arrive the week before the event. So this page that you see here is right off the website, gives you the information on STP and a way to click into registration. If you register between June 29th and July 9th, however, your packet will still be available at the start line. Beyond the University of Washington Saturday morning start line, where you can pick that up. You can also show up there on Friday evening to grab your packet at no additional charge. The reason being, the writers have the opportunity to drop off their gear at the start line the night before the event. And that's $5 an item. Typically, people bring luggage or a bike, or some people didn't even bring bike transportation boxes. So they have them once they're down in Portland to get their bikes back. Some people send along, now let's see, writers do this, I should say, so they don't have to scurry about doing this in the morning, especially if this solves transportation issues for them. So as a side tip though, bring small bills, as it's easy as it is cash only, I'm sorry, and the volunteers really don't want to have the responsibility of 50s and 100s as far as the bills go. So again, bring cash, make it easy on everyone. Lodging, let's see. Okay. Here we go, lodging details. When it comes to choosing your Saturday night overnight location, you can think about whether you want the festivities and energy of the official midpoint at Centralia College, or more quiet or even private locations further down the route. And the website gives great details and amenities and pricing. So again, go into the website here and you can get into lodging details. Let's talk a little bit about it. And STP continues to have free overnight camping options at the official midpoint, that being Centralia College, and also just a few miles down at Chehalis Recreation Park. There's some additional community-run overnight locations in the Centralia Chehalis area, ranging from schools, churches, and community buildings. And then there's some further down the route in the baggage truck locations, which you can find on the website, and kind of give you an idea of where the popular locations are: Centralia, Chehalis, Bethel Church, Napa Vine, Winlock, Kelso. If you're looking for Castle Rock, as you mentioned earlier, they are not a stop this year. And ultimately, if you end up procrastinating your decision as to where you're going to overnight, know that on that particular weekend, on Saturday morning, when you get to the start line, you can just toss your sleeping bag and tent into the Centralia or Chehalis baggage truck, and you'll have a free place to stay. There's a few more of the locations, as I mentioned. Official midpoint. I threw this route map up here. This is from the website to kind of give you an idea as you think about where you're going to stay. Centralia will be in the middle here, but if you run your cursor along some of the icons here, you'll see some of the other locations, and it'll help give you an idea of how much further down the route you can get and shorten your second day, basically. And especially if you want to get some of the hills out of the way, you can kind of use the elevation chart here to note that if you get past Napa Vine, for example, you get some of the hills out of the way the first day. So kind of a way for you to figure out, do I want to go further south to Napa Vine or Winlock? Not a bad idea if you're able to, and you want to get to a little quieter location. Let's see. Buses for people and trucks for bikes. So what we've got is, as far as I'm jumping ahead here, Portland Finish Line Lodging is the host hotel, the DoubleTree, and some nearby hotels, and they are filling up fast. Here we go, STP Transportation. So knowing that your baggage gets down to Portland on trucks and you are getting down there on your bike, now you got to consider how to get yourself back home or beyond Portland if you're going somewhere else. Know that most people will have friends and families who drive down, greet them at the finish line. There's parking in the Lloyd Center area there, lots of parking and stores and such. Others will be headed out to other locations. Some will come back on Amtrak. There's a stop downtown Portland in the Pearl District. Amtrak does sell out ahead of time, so I'm not sure the situation right now, but you can contact them directly about whether they have cancellations that you can get into or not. And people do use bike boxes for Amtrak that I mentioned earlier. And you can send those down on the baggage trucks. The post-ride buses, there we go. You have a combination package where you will come back on the bus and your bike will come back on a truck. Or you might just want to send your bike back on the trucks themselves. So again, these details here are available on the website. You can look at the pricing and what makes sense for you. But I think the particular trick here is knowing when you should load your bike. So the trucks and the buses will be there when you arrive at the finish line. You can go ahead and take your bike to the bike corral perhaps, and then enjoy yourself at the beer garden for a little bit. But the wise riders, the veteran riders, know that if they bring their bikes directly to the trucks, they can then stick their bikes onto the truck for one, safekeeping, and then second, the trucks will start heading back to Seattle before you get to hop back on the bus, and that way the bike will be at the UW start line before you get back. What you don't want to do is you don't want to get back on the bus and your bike is still on the truck making its way up. Then you'd have to wait for it. So again, the veterans always throw their bikes onto the trucks right away, and that way it's safe and it'll get here before they get up here themselves. Oh, I should back up here. A few things I should mention as far as buses go. For those who are coming up from Portland on Friday before the ride, there's a bus arranged by the Portland Bicycle Club, which delivers riders and bikes to the University of Washington at the dorms for Friday night. See the website for details on that. And also for everyone else, if you're planning on parking at the start line, you can purchase parking in advance through your registration on the Cascade site. This will allow you to leave a vehicle at the UW start line Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and you pay by day. So if you're a one-day rider, you pay less than the two-day riders. Safety and etiquette, want to make sure we touch on that. And Cascade Bicycle uses the acronym SMART, which I have up here. I won't read all this detail here, but basically it's stay alert, maintain space, act safely and predictably, respect the rules of the road. We are vehicles on the road, and the cars will respect us when we ride predictably. And think ahead and talk. This is communicating with the riders around you. We'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Also note, just ride single file for the most part, no more than double file. That doesn't mean you can't take the lane or affect other vehicles behind you when needed, but it's more about riding predictably and being courteous to your fellow riders and other users of the road.
And Will, real quick, let's touch on like what that means at the start line versus at any other area along the route. Like start line is where you're going to find the biggest crowds. Everyone's real excited. And so that's going to feel a lot different riding around so many other people as opposed to, at mile marker 150 where the crowds tend to get more spread out, right?
Yeah, so this is a shot right here of the start line, and you see when that yellow ribbon comes down and everyone starts heading out, there's going to be a lot of anticipation, and just again, that's where incidences can occur. Sometimes they do happen early, but yeah, just the excitement and people going different paces right out of the start line kind of creates an issue as well. So give yourself some space. That was one of the SMART acronyms there, is give yourself some space. And again, just be aware of things around you for your safety. And then for others, just kind of, one of the things that we haven't had to talk much about in previous years are people taking selfies and vloggers. Yeah, social media is a wonderful way to share and especially let people know what a great time you're having on STP. But we just ask that you use common sense and maintain a safe writing experience for yourself and fellow writers. And so definitely a lot of selfie sticks maybe as people head out of the start line, but we're asking you to use it when you're stationary. Take that start line photo and then put it aside. Have a friend take a picture of you perhaps. But if you are going to use selfie sticks or want to capture some images, pull off the road and take a stationary shot.
And there's also a lot of other really great things on the market that can, attach your phone or your camera to your handlebars or to your torso, things that are hands-free. So you might look into those options as well.
Yep. If you're looking for that writing point of view, definitely as Josh mentioned, there's a market there for the GoPro. I was looking for that word. GoPro has those particular attachments, and there are adapters that you can attach your phone to it as well. And this segues great into this slide here, learning to write in groups as well. So what we want to mention is to get out on a group write before STP. There's an energy that comes while writing with others, and there's group dynamics and etiquette that can be easily learned by getting out there on a free, say, Cascade bike ride. And you can find these available just about daily. Just look up the free group rides on cascade.org on the website. There's different paces and distances that are available. And when you're out training, you get to learn the dynamics and the communication that goes along with writing with other people. For example, this is heading down Lake Washington Boulevard here. I mentioned earlier, no more than 2 abreast. Well, there's no cars out here, so people are going to be riding, in this case, like 6 abreast. But here, people are, being forced to cross the center lane to get around. So this is where you want to figure out from group writing, how to communicate with each other, that you're passing, that there's cars coming from behind or there's potholes up ahead. You can see, with a large group like this, that if something is like a pothole occurs in front that someone tries to skirt around, that maybe people behind aren't aware of, and someone goes down. So there's a lot of communication that needs to be learned, and there's a way of doing that in a group. You may have also found some of these training charts on the STP webpage or other online sites. Pretty much all of them deal in mileage or distances. So one of the biggest things that I want to mention as an obstacle for a lot of us training is it's more about time than distance. So you may have been thinking about your training relative to the time that you can put in. That way, you won't shrug off that half-hour opportunity that you have after work, or even, trying to squeeze in a spin trainer for 15 minutes. Sometimes that's what you have to do, as opposed to saying, I can't get in 25 miles today. So, I should say beyond that, you'll also want to make sure you get out on the road. A lot of people, train on just trails or on spin cycles themselves, but there's nothing like the live action of being on the road, getting used to traffic, and then changes of terrain. You got to hit some hills as well. Learning to eat and drink, one of the topics we want to mention. So you can find lots of sport nutrition, science, and opinions online. So I'm just going to tell you that you should get to know what works for you in the next couple of months of training, and bring any special items with you if you need to supplement that standard fare that comes on the STP food stops. And you can check last year's video for a better idea of what some of that is. Actually, here's a shot right there. So, cut up fruit and such. And then there's typically some packaged items such as the bars that you can bring with you. So note that what you don't want to do is eat differently during the event from what you're accustomed to. There's no need to overeat at stops. You can get packaged bars or bananas and take them along with you from the stops to have it a little later. You know, take what you can eat, but don't overindulge. And hydration rule of thumb: drink a water bottle an hour. Of course, there's different size bottles and just different replenishment drink brands. They're formulated differently. So again, in the next couple of months of training, get to know what your intake level is and what works for you. If you take a replenishment tablet or powder, you know, you might want to bring those with you so that you have that on that particular weekend.
And if I can interject, that's also a great reason to be riding on your bike and not just indoors, because you also want to consider how you're going to carry that. You'll probably want 2 bottle cages, and you'll have to figure out an elegant way, whether it's a back jersey pocket or some sort of handlebar bag, to carry all those delightful, yummy snacks with you.
Yeah. And there will be some gluten-free and dairy-free options there, as you know, between all the options on the food stop menus. But know that you'll also be passing grocery stores and mini marts on the route. So if you don't exactly carry the things that you are looking for, know that you can stop and get some along the route elsewhere. Understanding your pace and what it means for the timing and the route service closing hours. So again, the route map that I have here on the screen, you can run your cursor along, you can see what hours they're available. And what you need to know, if you don't already have a bike computer or other tracking device, consider looking into this while training the next couple months. And that way you'll get to know what your pace is, and your training pace is whatever's comfortable is probably what you're going to be preferring to ride with. But know that adrenaline and group riding will generally pull you along at a little faster pace, especially earlier on. But just know you probably don't want to maintain that the rest of the weekend, and bring yourself back to what your comfortable training pace is. By knowing your pace, your average comfortable pace, you can also use math to then identify whether your pace will get you to the various food stops and mini stops within their service times. Getting to any of these locations during the end of their volunteer hours will generally provide you with less choice amongst the free and paid foods available. It just happens that way. For more details on what you can expect at these stops, so check again last year's video. Just want to reiterate from that video, you should consider your pace when you start each morning, as you want to know what your STP weekend experience might be. So, for example, some want a less busy ride and choose to be towards the back of the event. You know, that's cool. And some that want the excitement and, you know, the festivities that an event of 5,000 riders brings, they may want to start earlier at the start line. Or even Sunday morning, especially if you're at a slower pace, the event will continue to roll with you if you're at the beginning, and that way you're always having other riders around you, and you know, not feeling like the ride is riding away from you. Know your bike and gear. Well, finally, get to know your bike and gear while training in the next couple months, and don't make major changes or purchases in the final weeks. Bring your bike in for servicing, you know, well ahead of time. You've got time now. Better yet, take a local repair and adjustment class. Cascade Bike Club puts them on as well. That way, you know, you can be self-sufficient during your training as well. If you have comfort issues with your bikes, know that a professional bike fit can make huge differences. This is for your physical well-being and the enjoyment of your riding as a whole. They'll look at your position on your bike, such as saddle height, your arm reach to the handlebars. You know that many are like tempted to be upright for comfort in their riding, but that might not be the best thing for 200-mile rides. Again, these adjustments should be experimented with, you know, long before the final month of your training. You know, you can think about how just a 1/4 inch change in your seat height might make your neck feel better, but throw your knees out, you know, out of their comfort zone if it's not quite right. So you don't want those happening too close to the event itself. Definitely don't borrow your friend's bike in the last week or haul out one that you haven't been training on. And unfortunately, this does happen. You know, we hear from the mechanics over the years, and they've got stories of people who write in and they know nothing about their own bike because it really isn't their bike. Similarly, deciding to use a hydration backpack or new cycling shorts in the last week can be less than ideal. You don't want stuff that you don't just want stuff that you're comfortable with. You also don't want to have things that irritate or annoy you, and because that will detract from your weekend, and you know, blisters and anything like that's just gonna ruin your weekend. And you've got, again, just months to get to the point where you're comfortable with what you're going to have on that weekend. In closing, for me, I'd say, you know, common sense is your friend. STP in its 43rd year, at least, it's a special endeavor that'll make, you know, great memories for you. And if you prepare well, those will be happy memories. And so during your months of training and on the event weekend, you know, just we encourage you to ride smart, be a good cycling ambassador, and have fun. And Joss, what did we leave out?
Yeah, thanks, Will. I would say, you know, just last words is I think I just really reiterate what Will said, is just be prepared. You know, read up as much as you can about this, reach out to other riders who've done this ride before. You know, everyone's going to have just a slightly different experience because we're all different riders with different paces, and there's different things that we like about riding these rides. But the more you read about it, the more you try things out for yourself well ahead of time, I think the more comfortable your ride is going to be, the more predictable it's going to be, and the easier it's going to be to do some troubleshooting for when you decide that you want to do this ride next year. So that would be my advice to you, is just be curious, ask questions. You can reach out to Cascade at any time. And if you are on Facebook, you can come and join our STP Facebook group, where there's hundreds, I think maybe even a couple thousand of other users out there who are happy to answer your questions and help you on your ride. So with that, tune in. Pretty soon, we're going to have a different video. I think we're going to get into more of the fine details about the route itself and what you're going to be experiencing in terms of just distance between routes, the different rest stops, the hills you will find, trails that you will ride, roads and highways, bridges, you know, trains, planes, and bicycles. Yeah, so if you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do that. Go check us out on Facebook. We're going to try to plaster this everywhere we can. So until then, we'll see you next time. And thank you so much, Will.
Thanks.